This is a review of the Sony LinkBuds S, a pair of wireless Bluetooth earbuds that I believe can work for almost everyone. Now, while I was reviewing the LinkBuds S, at every step of the way, two distinct themes emerged, almost battling it out against each other with every facet of this wireless earbud. On the one hand was Sony's dogged determination to meaningfully improve its Bluetooth wireless products one generation after the other. On the other hand is Sony clearly trying to differentiate its price points, basically not trying to give us flagship level things at less than flagship level prices. Take for instance, oh my god, it's raining. I'll just stand under this tree. Now, take for instance the design aspect of this. Sony's basically taken the Sony XM4 and shrunk it down in every dimension, including, and this is the important part, the actual nozzle, the bit that goes into your ear canal. And what they've effectively made is a mini XM4 that is just better fitting for a wider variety of ears. Now that, along with the fact that each earbud is a mere 4.8 grams, makes this not only supremely comfortable for all ear shapes and sizes, but also surprisingly comfortable and stable for gym work, something that I couldn't necessarily say for the XM4 for everyone. Now, this case is effectively almost as small and as slim as the AirPods Pro case, which makes it supremely pocketable. And while there is a definite lack of gold trimming around and the finish of the product is maybe somewhat perceivably less premium than the XM4, I actually quite like it. I have grown to appreciate the grippiness of the almost sandpaper-like texture, and I think it looks pretty good. Overall then, Sony's basically improved on the XM4 for the LinkBuds S. It occurs to me that maybe, just maybe, I should have picked a different day to make this video, but did I mention they are IPX4 rated? And speaking of features, they do come with the same set of features that we've seen on the XM4. All the smart features allowing you to automatically switch between noise cancelling and ambient modes based on your geolocation or based on what you're doing, sitting, standing, walking and the like. All of those come with this as well, albeit with, I think, slightly less customization than the XM4. Whether these smart features actually work for you or not is something you'll have to decide. For example, the speak to talk feature, that doesn't quite work for me because I tend to think out loud every now and then, and that cuts my music out quite often. So your mileage may vary. It is worth mentioning that apart from that, there are a couple of nifty things. For example, it does sync up with your Google account to allow you to find your buds should you lose them at any point. It also has a little decibel meter on the first page of the app that will tell you how much music you're actually pumping into your ear, thus allowing you to maybe monitor that and, maybe save your hearing for your later years, which I think is actually quite thoughtful. But really what stands out to me is the things Sony didn't give. For a $200 device, I really think Bluetooth multipoint at this point should have been included. Nor is there the addition of wireless charging, which, while it's not a deal breaker for me, I know might be a deal breaker for a lot of people out there. For me personally though, what I would have really liked to have seen was the ability to fully customize the touch controls. It's just like the XM4. Here too, you can only select a preset set of functions for each ear, and that seems a little bit limiting and a little bit unnecessary. Of course, if you ask the Sony engineers, I'm sure they'll tell you, just use all the automatic features for the noise cancelling stuff, and then you just have play and pause on one ear and volume controls on the other. Problem solved. Not quite that simple. That doesn't necessarily work for a lot of people. Now, while the lack of multi-point connections or wireless charging might be a deal breaker for some, if you're anything like me and you prefer to concentrate on the basics, you just want the basics to be done right, then we should probably skip ahead to sound quality. But before we get into sound quality, yeah, I'm getting an Uber. This isn't working. before we get into sound quality, I should tell you about connection quality because there is a little bit of an issue. The connection quality, on the one hand, it works fine. You can go up to the usual 30 feet away from your device. There's no drop in connection. It's actually really good. Pairing is really fast, really consistent, and I have no real issues with the device. I just want to mention that while the XM4 was phenomenally good for connection quality and you could go really far away, this one, not so much. Walls do seem to affect connection a little bit more than the XM4, and perhaps more importantly, because this is an LDAC device, you should know that at the highest level of LDAC, it doesn't quite work. It's not that it skips here and there, it just doesn't work. So if you're using this and you're using LDAC, then, well, you kind of have to opt for that 600 kbps middle ground, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, LDAC is Sony's codec and this is Sony's device. They really should work together. Whew, fancy. Hi, how are you? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's all right. We're in the car, we're going back. It's a bit dark in here, I do apologize for that, but we should really talk about the sound quality because it is a thing to behold. Now, when it comes to sound quality, we've got to talk about noise cancelling. That is as big a part of the sound quality of this kind of device as the sound quality itself. I'm going to be straight with you, noise cancelling is not quite at the same level as the Sony XM4, but I'd say it gets 80, maybe 85% of the way there, which means that it's still better than a lot of the other options in the market. And when I used it on a train, on an airplane, or in a taxi, it's genuinely good enough that it cuts out most of the noise. And if you're listening to music or if you're taking a call, then you simply won't hear your surroundings. So it is meaningfully still good. Ambient sound, on the other hand, is where Sony's actually improved things significantly. Honestly, this is now one of the most natural sounding ambient sound modes I've heard. But the beauty is that in the app, it's also customizable. Now, if you choose somewhere between 5 and 8, the ambient sound tends to be very natural and not digitized, not enhanced in any way, but also not amplified. So it's more like a transparency mode. On the other hand, if you use something between 10 and 15, you get an enhancement, an amplification of your environment if that's what you want. Either ways, it can do what you want and it can do it very well. Now, as for the sound quality, right off the bat, they've made some changes. It's a different driver to the XM4, and as a result, I think there are some characteristics that are different. For example, it doesn't have as wide a soundstage as I liked in the XM4. It also doesn't quite handle the mids and highs as delicately as I found on the XM4. What it does do is still a very, very, very good job of the entire frequency range, and this is where they've actually improved things, because while the XM4 lacked a little bit of gravitas in the bass, this one certainly doesn't. If you like sub bass, if you like your IEMs to dig down deep and give you that big bass rumble, like on some Hans Zimmer tracks, for example, this is the one that's going to do it. It does this brilliantly. Similarly, the mids are handled very nicely with very nice timbre, vocals sound clear, and generally instrument separation as well as imaging is fantastic. The ability to pinpoint where each instrument is coming from in a song, all of that is good. So even though it doesn't have the widest soundstage, it still has great imaging, and that really counts for a lot. Oh, that's my stop. Thank you. See you. Thanks. Hey, he subscribed to me. The driver, he subscribed to me. That's nice. Where was I? Oh yeah, sound quality. Now, out of the box, it is a dark sounding IEM. But the key thing about the Sony LinkBuds S is EQ. In the app, there's an equalizer. It works brilliantly, and the Sony LinkBuds, the earbuds themselves, take the EQ like absolute champs. You can boost the bass if you want. You can make it a brighter sounding IEM or a V-shaped IEM with the bass and treble boosted to high heaven, or you can make it a mid-forward IEM or just something that's more balanced. Either ways, you can make it sound however you want, and whatever you do, they still sound good. Which brings us to battery life. Now, Sony claims 6 hours of battery life on a single charge from the earbuds, and you kind of do get this as long as you use the AAC codec. If, however, you use LDAC with the volume set at about 70% and active noise cancelling on, then I got closer to 5 hours, just a smidge over 5 hours, which is still, in my opinion, not too bad. You also get 14 hours of extra charge out of the case, which is closer to about 12 to 13 hours, again if you're using the LDAC codec. Now there is one caveat though, and that is if you have certain smart functions enabled on the right ear. For example, Google Assistant on the right ear will take up more battery on the right ear than the left. In my testing, the right ear went down to 0 while the left ear was still at 35%, and what that translates to is a good hour less of battery life on LDAC. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Turning off Google Assistant sorted my issue out. Battery drain was symmetrical on both sides, and I got the full 5 hours and 10 minutes or so of battery life on LDAC with ANC on at 70% volume. So then, the LinkBuds S. Is it any good for its price, and is it good for you? Well, let's not mince words. At a $200 price point, I really do think wireless charging should exist. I also think Bluetooth multi-point would have been a fantastic addition because a lot of people want that. If either of these are important to you, well, then the LinkBuds S is probably not for you. If, however, you're a little more like me and you want the basics done right, or you just don't know what you want, then the LinkBuds S might be a surprisingly good buy for you. Now, the combination of the size and the shape of the earbuds, along with the weight, make them supremely comfortable for what I believe would be a wide range of sizes and shapes of ears. Combine that with noise cancelling that's actually quite good, even though it's not the best in the industry, and ambient sound modes that honestly is one of the most natural sounding ambient sound modes I've heard, but more importantly is configurable to whatever you want, whether you want a transparency mode or you want environmental amplification. And finally, sound quality that I believe, big picture, is truly top notch, but just as importantly can be customized and configured to whatever you want. Now, all of that combined with the configurable smart features means that if you don't know exactly what you want, you can buy the LinkBuds and you can make them perfect for you, which in my opinion makes this one of the few Bluetooth earbuds out there that works for almost everyone who can spend $200. That really is the question, isn't it? You know what the other question is? Whether you've hit that subscribe button or not, because that would really help me out. Plus, we've got like other stuff coming. It's in the mail and there's going to be more reviews every week, like we always do. So I will see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.